like a couple of days, that the Browns media is done with this whole Dillon Gabriel thing, and everything is looking suspect with them and this whole Shedeur thing, because it looked like there was definitely a planned attack on Shedeur character and performance on the football field, set in stone by people that work in Cleveland media. People can say what they want. I'm holding true and definitely believing that there was a conspiracy to depict Shedeur playing ability to be a certain way and to depict his character to be.
Picture this. Cleveland's golden boy, Dillon Gabriel, didn't just stumble on the field, he went viral for all the wrong reasons. Forget the game-winning touchdown. Instead, newly leaked footage shows a reporter absolutely torching him in a moment that should have stayed private. This isn't your typical locker room whispers or sideline drama. This is a full-blown PR catastrophe, the kind that sends managers into panic mode and transforms fans into a furious mob overnight. Cleveland's hero became the internet's favorite punching bag in the blink of an eye, and trust me when I say, this story is gloriously messy. Cleveland and drama aren't just acquainted, they're practically married. It's the city's unofficial second sport, right after disappointment. But this time, the chaos didn't start with a blown play or a sideline tantrum. No, this explosion began with a hot mic that someone forgot to turn off. One reporter went completely rogue, dragging Dillon Gabriel so brutally it felt deeply personal. Now, the Browns' quarterback situation isn't just complicated, it's transformed into a full-blown soap opera, with the entire nation watching the flames grow higher by the minute. Word had been circulating through the city for weeks. Local media had quietly turned against Dillon. And that leaked footage? It proved every whispered suspicion true. But here's the twist. This story didn't begin with his interceptions. It started much earlier, back when Shedeur Sanders became everyone's favorite punching bag for clickbait headlines. It's like Cleveland drafted its villains and heroes before a single snap was played. And now, karma's showing up to collect. Remember Shadeur's speeding ticket? What should have been a harmless traffic stop exploded into a week-long moral crisis. Reporters acted as if he'd led a high-speed chase through downtown Cleveland with the playbook riding shotgun. Yet just weeks later, Miles Garrett got his own speeding ticket, and suddenly, those same reporters went radio silent, like it never happened. The hypocrisy is staggering. One guy gets crucified for sneezing wrong. The other breaks the same rule and earns a collective shrug. What's really happening in Cleveland's media machine?
It can get. Dillon Gabriel is a limited player at the quarterback position. He puts a ceiling on whatever your offense is capable of doing. Not that the offense was lighting it up with Joe Flacco as the quarterback, but it's gotten worse with Dillon Gabriel as your guy. And at some point, you have to move on just for change's sake, if for no other reason, to give hope to the other 52 guys in the locker room that maybe something can change, maybe we can find a way to run in this up.
One story was painted as a dangerous influence, corrupting young fans, while the other was dismissed as a momentary lapse in judgment. But here's where it gets interesting. While the media was busy dragging Shedeur through the mud, he was out there doing actual meaningful work. The man was visiting schools, talking to kids, showing up in neighborhoods that most NFL players only enter when there's a camera crew and a PR strategy waiting. But Shedeur? No bright lights, no scripted PR moments, just pure, raw authenticity. And somehow, that genuine effort rubbed Cleveland's press circle the wrong way. How twisted is that? Authentic players terrify the system. Back then, analysts ranked Shedeur among the top 2 quarterbacks in the entire draft, a legitimate generational talent with ice in his veins and a rocket launcher for an arm. Cleveland fans thought they'd finally found their savior, their long-awaited superstar to break the curse. But a few months later, all that belief evaporated faster than a fourth-quarter lead. Suddenly, those same cheerleaders were acting like they never believed in him at all. The narrative did a complete 180 overnight. Out of nowhere, Shedeur wasn't a leader anymore. He became unfocused, too flashy, unproven. Every headline dripped with Cleveland's signature contradiction. We believe in our guy until we don't. Then Dillon Gabriel entered the picture, the shiny new face of the franchise, the so-called safe pick, handed the keys before he even figured out where the ignition was. They called him the calm choice, the respectable option who didn't bring drama or headlines. At least not yet.
We all remember when he got that speeding ticket, right? It was a speeding ticket. Granted, was he going fast? Yeah, he was going fast. But the fact of the matter is, they blew it out of proportion. Miles Garrett, like 2 weeks later, ended up getting a speeding ticket too. But you didn't see it reach the heights that Shedeur did. You didn't see multiple upon multiple videos coming out from these Cleveland media people talking about talking about Miles Garrett getting that speeding ticket. But it's things like that that played out to me during the offseason that tried to hurt his.
For the first few games, he looked decent. Polite, careful, predictable. And in Cleveland, that was enough to buy him temporary peace. But patience in this city runs thinner than their offensive line protection. Once the losses started piling up, the same analysts who crowned him the next big thing began awkwardly clearing their throats on air, pretending they never said any of it. The narrative flipped so fast you'd think it got blindsided by a blitz. Nobody dared step out of line, not publicly at least, until that leaked footage detonated across the internet like a bomb. It wasn't just a rant, it was a full-scale explosion. After another ugly offensive showing, reporters finally started saying what fans had been screaming for weeks. A local reporter, clearly done with protecting the carefully crafted narrative, finally admitted what everyone else was too terrified to say. He didn't just question Dillon Gabriel's skills, he obliterated them.
Browns media is done with Dillon Gabriel. After another ugly offensive showing, reporters are saying what fans have been screaming for weeks, it's time for Shedeur Sanders. This is bad, man. When the media is done with Dillon Gabriel and they making jokes and they talking about they cussing at the TV and the kids don't repeat what they say, this is bad. Even that hot air balloon they saying Dillon Gabriel threw up, man, he been overthrowing receivers in training camp. It's ridiculous. He missed Jerry Jeudy wide open in training camp. So what you expect in the game?
He called out the front office, the coaching staff, and the manufactured illusion that this rookie could somehow carry an entire franchise on his back. It was absolutely brutal. He labeled the Browns' offense unwatchable and unfixable. Those words hit harder than any defensive sack. Cleveland's quarterback crisis wasn't just about bad passes anymore. It was trending, viral, and impossible to ignore. What made it sting even worse was the ugly truth lurking beneath it all. The blatant hypocrisy. The same reporters who roasted Shedeur Sanders for the smallest missteps had been shielding Dillon Gabriel from real criticism right up until it became inconvenient. For weeks, they hyped him as the next golden child, praising his calm leadership, his long-term potential, his brilliant football mind. But the second that hot mic footage dropped, all that loyalty vanished faster than Cleveland's playoff dreams. Suddenly, everyone was frantically rewriting their own takes, acting like they'd always harbored doubts.
Catches on 9 targets for wide receivers.
Yes. That's ridiculous.
Why?
Because
is it Dillon? He can't throw the ball downfield.
Well,
he can't throw the ball.
Does he not see the guys down the field? That's one
and
thing.
He has seen.
Jeff, I watched
he has seen players down the field his entire college career playing behind 6'5", 6'6" offensive linemen. I don't want to hear he can't see because
Jeff,
the guy was a Heisman finalist by throwing the ball downfield and seeing.
It's not just about height. It's about not reading the.
Twitter transformed into an all-out confessional. Everyone suddenly claimed they saw it coming. Memes flooded every feed. Gabriel's face photoshopped onto fake movie posters like The Interception Chronicles and 50 Shades of Screen Passes. Fans begged for change, screaming for accountability, while the Browns' PR team scrambled desperately to extinguish a fire already raging out of control. Some fans rushed to Dillon Gabriel's defense like he was family, refusing to hear a single negative word about him. They claimed the Browns were conducting a comprehensive review of the offense from top to bottom. But of course, there was one sacred cow, the quarterback. Everything was supposedly on the table, except the one thing that actually mattered: Classic Cleveland logic. You can fire coaches, replace play callers, redesign the entire playbook from scratch. But the moment someone suggests maybe, just maybe, the quarterback isn't the guy, deafening silence. Then came Mary Kay, one of Cleveland's longtime insiders, stepping into the storm with her trademark calm demeanor. She said the team needed to look inward, communicate better, find solutions within. It sounded measured, wise, the kind of take that makes great headlines. But once you really think about it, you realize she was describing a team that had already lost complete control of its own story. They weren't fixing problems, they were spinning them into polished speeches. Because let's be brutally honest, in Cleveland, communication isn't the issue, denial is. Every season starts the same way. Big promises, fancy press conferences, this is our year energy. And by mid-season, it's deja vu. Another collapse, another round of excuses, another fairy tale that fell apart under the bright lights. That's why this leaked footage hits so devastatingly hard. It wasn't just a rant, it was a mirror held up to the franchise's face, exposing everything. The empty optimism, the recycled narratives, the endless cycle of hype and heartbreak. Within hours, sports shows were looping the clip with dramatic thriller music like it was classified government footage. Analysts dissected every word, every breath like it contained classified intelligence. Meanwhile, the Browns' PR team scrambled to control the damage, releasing a desperate statement about staying unified. Translation, please stop talking about this before kickoff. But by then, the fire was already raging out of control, and Cleveland was once again trending nationwide for all the wrong reasons.
Answer made no sense to me.
That made no sense, and I'll be honest with you, I think he knew it made no sense.
Okay, so wait.
There's no defending that kind of answer.
No, there isn't. So are you making the suggestion? Anyways, I don't even know. You might be dead on the money on this one. Okay, I want to flesh this thing out completely here. That Stefanski will play Dillon Gabriel, and if they at any point say you have to go to Shador, he'll just continue to say no and no and no, and you know the end result of that.
Yes,
he's asking to get fired.
Yes, or I think there's a lot
like mid-season, he's asking to get fired. Either I play Dillon Gabriel and I'm not moving to Shador, and if you want me to move to Shador, guess what? You have to fire me.
But let's be honest, the internet doesn't do mercy. Once that clip dropped, it was over. The memes hit harder than any defensive tackle. One viral post showed a devastating split screen. On one side, Shedeur Sanders helping kids in the community. On the other, Dillon Gabriel missing a throw mid-game. The caption? Different energy. Brutal. Another one read, Cleveland, where quarterbacks go to become content. It was savage and hilarious all at once. And the saddest part? Gabriel wasn't even the villain here. He was just the latest name fed into Cleveland's chaos machine that devours its own players for clicks and ratings. The rookie never begged for favoritism, never asked to be the headline, but when the spotlight turned toxic, it didn't matter. The same machine that built him up as the next big thing was now tearing him down for engagement. Because in Cleveland, that's not an accident. That's the business model. The media creates heroes out of pure hype, worships them for a fleeting moment, then ruthlessly crushes them the second the story starts to sell differently. It's not a bug in the system, it is the system. Soon, the entire debate turned philosophical. Reporters argued about leadership and accountability like they were reading from self-help books. Podcasts transformed into courtroom debates, and fans filled comment sections with theories that sounded half like sports analysis and half like conspiracy thrillers. Everyone had an opinion, and none of them were quiet. Some blamed management for ignoring Shedeur Sanders' potential, saying he should have been handed the keys from day one. Others swore Gabriel never stood a chance, that the internal politics were already stacked against him before he took a single snap. But buried beneath all the noise was one bitter truth. Both of them were victims of the same broken machine. Cleveland's real problem isn't talent, it's timing. They don't ruin players because they pick the wrong ones. They ruin them because they pick the right ones at the worst possible moment under leadership that couldn't steer a golf cart straight.
thing about Dillon Gabriel. The reason why he's starting is because someone where he got drafted in the 3rd round, and he's supposed to be one of them quarterbacks where he's smart. He might not have the big arm, might not be a big quarterback because he's pretty small, but he's smart. This ain't smart. Where you going with this? He had a couple plays in this game where I was trying to figure out where's he going? Because quarterbacks like him that might not be super talented, they be smart and they know where to go with the ball. Because like your argument is why we not playing Shador because of that, because he's smart and all that. But man, it's time to move on now. We seen him.
Wow. So you think it's time to move on already?
Like, what are we waiting on? They getting beat every week. They getting beat on and beat on and beat on. Your star player is frustrated, and he got 5, 6, 7 sacks.
That leaked footage didn't start the problem. It just ripped the curtain down so everyone could finally see the mess behind it. Every camera angle suddenly zoomed in closer. And just like that, Shedor's name was back in circulation. Quietly at first, but with a type of respect that wasn't there before. The same reporters who once questioned his maturity and attitude were now frantically rewriting their takes in real time, suddenly talking about his leadership and grit. Maybe, just maybe, they got it wrong. Maybe the guy who stayed calm while being dragged through the media mud was the one who actually understood what it meant to lead a team under fire. Then the comparisons came flooding back, but this time without the venom. Fans noticed the irony instantly. The player roasted for being too confident was now the one who stayed grounded and professional when the media turned on him. Meanwhile, the humble golden boy they'd protected had become the face of a viral meltdown. Some called it poetic justice, others called it karma. And in Cleveland, they just called it Wednesday. As the season crawled forward, the Browns' record barely budged. Gabriel had flashes, moments where you could see exactly why he was drafted, but the ghost of that leaked footage haunted his every move. Every interception sparked a fresh round of memes. Every victory was dissected and picked apart like it didn't count. In Cleveland, once the media turns on you, redemption isn't a storyline, it's a punchline. The entire organization felt fractured. Fans stopped trusting the coaches, the media stopped trusting the players stopped trusting the process. Everyone was pretending this year would be different, but deep down they all knew the truth. It never is. Yet somehow, buried in that exhaustion, there's something heartbreakingly beautiful about Cleveland football. That stubborn hope, that blind loyalty, that wild ability to dream big even when history keeps stomping on your heart. Maybe that's why this whole mess stings so deeply. Because everyone watching recognizes a piece of it inside themselves. The names change, the years change, but somehow, the story never does.
Fireable offense if you're Kevin Stefanski and you wanted to draft Dillon Gabriel, and this is what he's putting out there on the field for you. Because it was very, very clear who liked Dillon Gabriel. It's come out in reports that Kevin Stefanski likes Dillon Gabriel. He processes his offense well. Expected the offense to take the next step with Dillon Gabriel in there. It's his guy. This offense has been putrid, absolutely putrid. Checkdowns, missing a ton of reads, underthrown balls. Every time he looks like he's trying to throw the ball deep, he puts all of his effort into it and it goes maybe 20 yards. It is a fireable offense if you're...
The viral clip might eventually fade from timelines, but its message won't go anywhere. It ripped the mask clean off and exposed what's been festering beneath the surface for years. The Browns aren't really battling other teams, they're battling themselves. And that right there is the real tragedy. Not that Dillon Gabriel got roasted on a hot mic, not that Shedeur Sanders got misjudged, but that in Cleveland, the scoreboard resets every Sunday, and so do the lessons. No matter how many heartbreaks pile up, history just keeps pressing replay. As the lights dimmed and the noise finally cooled off, one question refused to die. How many quarterbacks will it take before Cleveland finally breaks the curse? How many more next big things will they burn through before they realize the problem isn't the players, it's the pattern? Hashtags exploded faster than touchdowns in a college highlight reel, and every sports show suddenly transformed into a moral philosophy seminar. Analysts debated whether Gabriel had the mental toughness to lead not just a team, but an entire city, desperate for a savior. Meanwhile, the reporter behind the leak became a straight-up folk hero, mic in hand, smirk on his face, crowned as the new truth teller of Cleveland sports. One clip, and he became a legend. But here's the wildest part. The footage itself wasn't even truly scandalous. There was no fight, no meltdown, no locker room chaos, just a painfully human moment. A rookie frustrated, disappointed, crushed by the weight of being Cleveland's latest chosen one. But in today's viral age, subtlety doesn't stand a chance. People saw frustration and screamed arrogance. They saw self-doubt and yelled diva.
Crucial interceptions in yesterday's game. I was watching, I think it was Rex Ryan on TV, and he was breaking down those interceptions. They all came from when the defense decided to clog the middle with a center blitz, blocking the line of vision for a shorter quarterback. This has been my whole point with Dillon Gabriel. You cannot name me a quarterback his size of recent that has been successful. These defensive linemen are 6'7", 6'8", huge monsters.
The internet doesn't do nuance, it does narratives. And once the mob picks its storyline, facts stop mattering. Of course, the Browns' PR team jumped in like firefighters trying to save a blaze already out of control. Press conferences turned into therapy sessions, coaches talking about focus and unity while everyone could see the cracks showing. Cleveland, a city forever allergic to stability, found itself right back where it always ends up, knee-deep in chaos, dressed up as progress. And maybe that's the saddest part of all, because for the Browns, dysfunction isn't a crisis anymore. It's a tradition. The locker room that was once supposed to rally behind a young, promising quarterback slowly split in two. Half the players saw Dillon as a genuine competitor. The other half saw him as nothing more than a headline waiting to explode. And through it all, he had to maintain that camera-ready smile, pretending that being roasted by millions of strangers was somehow just part of the process. The man was fighting two battles, one on the field and one online, and neither one was fair. That's the heartbreaking beauty of it all. In trying to survive the leak, Dillon accidentally became exactly what the internet craved. A story, a viral name, a meme, a cautionary tale for the next rookie who dares to believe Cleveland can love you for long. So what do you think? Was Dillon set up to fail, or did he just get caught in the city's endless storm? The answer might be more complicated than either option suggests. This is Cleveland, where hope and heartbreak dance an eternal tango, where every season promises redemption but delivers déjà vu, and where the real opponent isn't on the field, it's the weight of history itself.